Okay, we're just going to take a break for a moment, and in the meantime, why don't you listen to a word from our sponsors? Awkward. Okay, and now we're on to the last part of the episode, which is new direction still. It's plans for the future for our podcast. There's a lot of forward looking in this episode, and when we were discussing Mantic before we started recording the podcast, we realized that there's a lot of things that maybe we should let our viewers be aware of, or listeners, depending on what people who hear. Oh, Jesus. I'm just gonna keep going.
It's okay. Keep going.
It's fine. Man. Everything's fine. So
people
who listen to podcasts,
people who listen
not stopping.
to our podcast know that for one thing we have a lot of mess ups.
Should be informed
because we're only two guys.
Yeah,
and
we normally cut these out anyway. Right. So there's things we want to do with the podcast, and some of them we feel are mandatory. Some of them we feel are more just ideas we'd like to try out. But basically, we want this podcast to be both a kind of thing to listen to while you're painting, and also a resource for you. As a gamer who enjoys either Mantic miniatures or Mantic games or both, right, like we do. So, in saying that, there's quite a few, I don't know if I'd even call it changes, but just advancements and whatever we're looking at doing, and some of them we've already decided on. So, to start with something definite, I guess, we've decided that along with having these up on YouTube, that's not quite enough for maybe for what people would want from a podcast. Most podcasts tend to have even just a little bit of discussion, a comment section or whatever. And they aren't just a YouTube channel, or they aren't just a podcast link. So in saying that, we've decided that we will start up a blog. We'll probably do a Google blog or something like that. If people have suggestions, that'd be great. But by the time this episode is out, we'll probably have started.
Yep.
And sorry?
No, I was agreeing.
Oh, yep. Okay. And in that blog, basically, what we're hoping it will allow us to do is, if, for instance, we have a break of 2 months, which was a planned break, mind you, we did know there was going to be nothing on January the 1st, which is why I made that kind of subpar Christmas video thing. We want people to be informed of what's actually going on, because I realized that even I, as one of the podcasters, felt like there was absolutely no clarity. So the blog will be used to update people on that, update people on when the episodes are coming out, although we're hoping that every podcast episode will be out on the 1st of the month.
Right.
And the other things, the benefits of the blog is that we can actually have some Google AdSense or something and a donation button. Now, we want those because the best way to be able to do a lot of what we hope to plan is to have some kind of financial backing, no matter how small it is, just to kind of feel that we're actually going somewhere.
Right, and we're not greedy. We're not going to take any of this and use it for our own wargaming needs. It's for the podcast. We're updating we're going to do a lot of stuff with the podcast, and we need to keep it. We need money to keep it afloat, essentially.
Yeah, it is. It's a little bit more expensive than I expected, and I think I've mentioned before the podcast is currently my hobby money. So, like that's where my hobby money is kind of going. And we also want the option of being able to do competitions. We'd love to say that we're going to do that next month or the month after, but realistically speaking, that would it would end up being a once-off.
Right, yeah.
And I'm fine with that. I want to do a once-off. I'm happy with that. Just put some money in. I just love the idea of having a competition, but in the long term, that's not sustainable at all.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's the kind of money side of it. We don't know if we're going to try and get people to sponsor us because, to be honest, we want to get out there a lot. We want to, if someone wants to advertise with us or if someone wants to donate and advertise on the podcast that way, kind of like just any tip whatsoever, and they want to do an announcement of some kind or whatever,
right.
We can do that. Say it's a tournament or a company selling Mantic or whatever.
Right.
What I'm saying, but yeah, we want to be of benefit to whoever is doing that. We want to have some kind of perceived value.
Right.
And
right.
Unfortunately, to give a perceived value, it costs.
Exactly. And I mean, even if one of the wargaming companies out there was generous enough to sponsor us,
oh, hint, hint, Max.
Well, yes, but I mean, if somebody decided they wanted to sponsor us, it would be helpful.
Even if it was once off, even if it was just like we have a prize giveaway. Do you guys want to do it? That would be cool.
Yeah, exactly,
but,
exactly.
But
all we want to do is make the podcast better for you guys.
Yeah.
We're just giving you as many options to communicate with us as possible. We're trying to give you some fun aspects as far as the contests we were talking about, or Bert was talking about, and we want it to be an all-inclusive hobby podcast experience.
Yeah, and saying that, that kind of leads in quite well to the next thing, which is at the moment we've decided to do a monthly podcast, and that's lovely for us. But it might be a little bit irregular for some people. It's I know a lot of podcasts do it every 2 weeks. And I think that maybe they're not quite in the same situation as us, as, we're over Skype, we're, different hours, but also, there's other factors there. But that doesn't mean that we don't want to have something every second week.
Right.
And because of that, I suggested to Max we do something called Mantic Moments. And Mantic Moments, apart from being a bit of a tongue twister, are basically little, say, 5-minute to up to half an hour things that we do in the middle of the month. So about the 15th to 16th or whatever, that will support people in the Mantic hobby. As an example, I have already recorded my first Warpath 500-point battle report. Haven't put that up yet because we wanted to talk about it on the podcast first. And that was that first game that I had earlier in Month in Mantic that I didn't want to talk about.
Right.
Battle reports aren't the only things that you need to be restricted to. There's, damn it. I remember discussing loads of things with you, and now I'm kind of drawing a blank.
That's okay.
But
it's just we've got that. We've got if people want to send in something like conversion ideas, we can do a whole conversion idea mid-month moment.
Yeah,
we can do a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, it's just user submissions, stuff like that.
I've remembered a couple now. Yeah, user submissions would be great. And actually, to start off, we were thinking that because it's Warpath and Kings of War only starting to develop communities, that if you have a community and you want to feature it, then we would run a feature in the Mantic Mid-Month Moment. And as an example of that, if I can get them all in one place, I will do a little feature on the club in the school nearby and just kind of go, like, these are some of the games we're playing. This is what we're doing at the moment. And just kind of like, what people, we're still working that out, but really you know what's happening in your club. You know what's important to your club.
Exactly.
So if you want to do that, it doesn't have to be purely focused on those two games, but it really should be emphasizing them, or the use of Mantic figures in your club to kind of keep in line with the podcast. Hopefully we can give an example of that first. But yeah, the other things are we might just do little fun things, like if people want just little joke videos or whatever. It really is an open platform where we will primarily put things out there, see how people feel about them, and just keep going with the things they like. Personally, I feel the one thing that's a definite is the battle reports.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. One thing we will be keeping away from is painting tutorials. There are amazing ones out there on the internet. There's no point in us doing anything. And painting isn't restricted to Mantic.
Right.
Or to Warpath, or to whatever. But maybe converting, an Imperial Guard army into a Corporation army, or converting undead Kings of War so that they do whatever, that might be interesting to focus on. That's pretty much all of Mantic Mid-Month Moments.
Right.
There's another thing, which was that, another section of this discussion is, we've had listeners who clearly want different things from the podcast. And apart from sitting here and chatting with my friend, I don't really mind in what format the podcast is or any of that kind of technical stuff. We want to be able to accommodate. So saying that, we've decided that since we have a blog and a YouTube channel, we believe that out there is a free hosting site for podcasts. So we'll actually provide an audio version of the podcast, which will not have the pretty little pictures, or whatever, like the YouTube one will, but it's downloadable and, this more distributable, even though the YouTube one, you can clearly copy.
Yeah.
But it gives you freedom. You can put it on your iPhone or I'm not good with all the Apple stuff. It's not iPhone, is it? It's iPod.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's an iPod. Yeah, it's put it on your iPod or whatever, and that way it's the podcast for the way you want it to be.
Right.
And then the Mantic Mid-Month Moment, if you really do just want an audio podcast, ignore it. I guess.
Yeah.
But if you like battle reports and you like, hopefully it's kind of a build your own podcast for people out there. And hopefully, I don't think it will be too much effort for us to do, but we're going to try it. That's hopefully giving people options.
Right.
Was there something you wanted to say about that?
Not really. I mean, you covered most of it. We're just, like I've been saying, we just want to keep it as open as possible for our viewers or our listeners, if you will, to contact us and tell us how they want the podcast to go.
Compared to other games companies, Mantic, compared to Privateer Press and compared to Games Workshop, Mantic is maybe a small fish, but there's a real reason for doing this. I feel if there wasn't, if I had to stop the podcast, I would definitely want it to keep going because Mantic is doing something different that I'm far more interested in.
Right. So
hopefully any of you out there who are interested in it can participate as well and feel some ownership. And yeah. Another thing that I'm hoping to do, I'm not sure I mentioned this to you, Max, but hopefully we'll actually get some interviews with some people now that we've done 4 episodes.
Oh, yeah.
I think this shows that while we may not be consistent yet, we fully intend on being consistent.
Yes,
that's
yes.
not really that's not really a good.
Indeed. If we could get something like an interview with Ronnie, that would be amazing. But that's not what we're trying to do. We're just trying to. We're trying to get interviews.
Yeah, well, we'll just.
Or that's what we're thinking of, but it's up in the air right now.
Yeah, well, to get an interview with Ronnie Renton would be pretty amazing. We want to do these interviews because
which as a thing, Ronnie or Chris, if you guys are listening to this, contact us.
They're not listening.
No, I know, but if they were, contact us.
I don't know if anyone can hear that, but Max is down on his knees right now, just begging.
And the jokes continue.
But yeah,
I think that's it right now. That's it. I think we're good.
Doing interviews and stuff, I want to do them because, as an example, I have listened to pretty much every interview for a podcast that Alessio Cavatori has done.
Right.
And because I'm really interested in his design, would you call it an aesthetic or style? I'm really interested in what he's chosen to do with his game design career and his approach and all this kind of stuff. But I feel that there hasn't been an interview that has fully done justice to Kings of War and Warpath and his design behind them. And I don't feel like there's the other designer whose name I embarrassingly can't remember for Dwarves King's Hold. Can you remember, Max?
No.
Oh, God. Well, apologies, you guy.
Yes.
But yeah, I was actually interested in his approach there, and I've read his blog, and I thought that was interesting too. So I just want to know more, and that is really everything I wanted to say.
Yeah. Well, this has been another month in Mantic.
Yeah, I think we can sign it off there. Unless you want to beg anyone else for something.
No. Who could we... I'm trying to think. Are you on the Facebook group? Personally?
To be honest, I do not know what Facebook group you're on about.
Okay, for, the Mantic Fanatics Facebook group.
Okay, for a second there I thought, we had a Facebook group?
No, we don't. For those of you who don't know, the Mantic Fanatics, the official social group for Mantic, we have a Facebook page, but as far as the who we could interview, or who I could beg for an interview or such and such, there is a guy who on the Facebook group called Pete. Pete, if you are listening, please do not kill me when I ask you for an interview about your painting studio and such. But he runs Asgard Painting Studio, and he's been doing a lot of Mantic stuff lately.
Okay.
So I figured he might be an idea. But now we're rambling, so I don't want to...
Well, I'm not sure I ever stopped.
Yeah. Isn't that what all this is? It's just our ramblings?
Anyway, I would say that is actually it.
Yep.
1, 2, 3.